Hello and welcome back to Mark's House and Garden UK. This is my exotic tropical jungle border. Let me run some footage of what this looks like at the end of the summer when it's at its best. Because what you're seeing right now is this exotic tropical jungle border at its worst. It's the middle of March, we've just come out of a quite cold winter. And this border really looks dead. What I can assure you, in about 2 months' time, it will look quite the opposite. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to kickstart it. This is a process I do every springtime. I'm going to kickstart this border so that it gives me a fantastic summer of growth. Now, at the back end of last year, in the winter time, end of autumn, winter, when this border started to die back, I cut it all down. And everything that I cut down, I dropped on top to give it some protection through the winter. And today I'm going to reveal what's underneath. I'm going to remove all that old spent material off. We'll have a look at what is coming up so far. I'll try and remember what was there last year. And at the same time, I will at various times run some footage of what it did look like last year. But this needs to be kick-started. It needs almost like jump starting like you would a car with a flat battery. So what I've done is I've gone to my neighbour's ponies and I've gone to the back of his manure pile and I've taken a barrel load of well-rotted manure. So what I'm going to do is that is going to be a top dress on there and I'm going to water it. That is full of life. I've already seen that there are thousands of worms in there. Those worms will already started work on that manure. And what they will have done is they will have started to digest it and excrete plant food. When I put that on there, those worms will start to take it down into the soil. If you think about it, I've always said this, I'm not a fully trained gardener. I'm self-taught, but gardening to me a lot of the time is really just logic. In order for that soil, that small amount of limited resource, to produce all the growth it has done last year, it must have had most of the nutrients sucked out of it. And so to give it a kickstart, I need to replace that. And I'm doing it organically and naturally with this manure. So that all those worms and insects and invertebrates and microorganisms and organisms are going to start working on that manure and burrow it down into the soil where the roots can get access to the food that's in there. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to very, very gently, and I mean gently because I don't know what's come up already. I'm going to very gently start to lift off this cover. And already I can see a plant here which is emerging. And I don't want to do any damage to those tender tips. I'm very gently going to remove all that. And then I'll give you a guided tour of what will look like bare earth. But I promise you there's all kinds of things in here. Gingers, colocasia pink china. That's a voodoo lily there that's sticking its nose out of the ground. Right, let's get on with it. Let's lift all the rubbish. So there we go. Doesn't that look better? It felt wonderful doing that. It felt like a spring clean. I'm just going to get hold of the camera now and give you a quick guided tour of what I've discovered. So let's start off down here on the left and work in that direction. That's a tree fern. It's quite a big tree fern actually. It covers this whole space here, so there's nothing growing on it under it and there's nothing planted under it. I can feel fronds in there, so soon that will start growing. Down here we've got colocasia pink china, and again you can see there, look, it's already starting to push up some shoots, and soon that will be full of lovely pink stalks and lovely big leaves. Colocasia leaves. There is a eucalyptus bicolour pineapple lily. Look at that, wonderful. That grows up to about here and there's a lovely flower on it the shape of a pineapple. Whilst we're up here, the passion flower, that's going to be cut back. It looks a mess, it's untidy and it's ugly. Right, look at that there. That is a voodoo lily. There's 3 of them. My other half has planted those. I didn't really know about them, but he's just told me that he's planted 3. There's one there, and one over there. You can just see its green tip just there. Right, we'll talk about that another time. That's a really interesting plant. It stinks of rotting flesh when it flowers, which is wonderful in my dining area, isn't it? That's a Colocasia esculenta, which is not hardy in the UK. But it has been here for 2 or 3 years, so let's just break through these roots. The roots feel alive, so hopefully soon that will start to grow. Right, let's move along. There's another voodoo lily. That is a tetrapanix. There's a leaf coming through at the bottom. I think that's another colocasia pink china there. I'm not entirely sure what that is until it grows a bit more. We've got a Fatsia japonica here. That's evergreen. That's great for all-round structure. These red hot pokers, a gardening mistake of mine. Not enough light, didn't flower. Going to move it. Right, what have we got here? There's the other voodoo lily. Got that there, look, tiny little leaf on the top. Wonderful. And in here, there's a selection of gingers, Himalayan gingers in there. That's a Mahonia, Sweet William. That's another evergreen shrub that will come all the way up. Down at the back, I grew some taro bulbs. I bought some taro from an Asian supermarket, and they're in there somewhere. Whether they will have survived the winter, I don't know. Time will tell. Persicaria red dragon, a beast of a plant, that is. Lovely colour though. Look at that, wonderful. It's actually related to Japanese knotweed. Quite invasive. There's my Musa Bajdu hardy green bananas, which I've just unwrapped and cut the tops off. And you can see we've got green inside here on all of them. So hopefully the experiment to protect the trunks has worked and they will start growing from the top rather than the bottom. That is Crinium Twellii down there. Lovely flower, lovely foliage and lovely pink blooms. A bit of rogue Persicaria there and some more colocasia pink chinas down here. Quite solid, there's life in them, they're not rotten. So that again will burst. Over there we have some Canna musifolia, a lovely great big foliage leaf plant that goes all the way up there. Lovely can of that. And then finally let's just end this guided tour with this tetrapanix. I protected the trunk, wrapped it in some insulation, and look, I've got leaves growing from the top. Wonderful. Right, let's get back on camera and put some manure on and then water it. Just going to start by tidying up this passion flower. I'm just going to cut off what is obviously dead. And don't worry, because this is such a rampant plant. I did a video on this earlier in the year, last year, and several people in America told me, they warned me about it. Beware that plant because it just gets everywhere, and it is true. I'm very careful not to let it grow up into my neighbour's roof space. That's why I'm quite comfortable chopping into it here. Last year I counted 80 flowers on this at one time, and they're a beautiful flower. I did a whole video on them. If you search passion flower on my channel, you'll see the flowers. I actually did one opening, speeded up. It'll take about 25 minutes to open up in the morning when the sun hits them, and they really are a beautiful thing to look at. I'm just hacking in, and I'm leaving a long strand here which looks like it's got life in, and that can continue to grow, that can stay on. Right, so that's that job done. Now that voodoo lily I've just been telling you about is also known as Dracunculus vulgaris, and also it's known as the corpse flower because it stinks of rotting flesh. Anyway, there it is. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to top dress this, and I don't need to over egg the pudding or labour the point, but this will feed this border. I'm going to put it on the bare earth next to where I can see a plant, and all these little dollops of well rotted manure which are full of worms and other creatures will be taken down into the soil. One of the wonderful things about being a YouTuber is you end up with an archive of footage. So what I'm showing you now I will be able to use in a video in the future as this border bursts into life. So I may even try and get round to doing one of those, I've got the word slow release in my mind, but I don't mean slow release, I mean slow motion videos where you can see it growing in front of your eyes. And all I'm doing there, as you can see, sprinkling it on, and when I water it, the magic will happen. This is black gold, this. And I'm looking at it and it's absolutely full of worms, and those worms will not be able to resist the temptation to go down into the earth and take this goodness with them. When there's a big lump, I will just break it up, but the water will break it up for me. I'm going to give it a really good soaking in a moment. So there we go, another job done on another day in March in the garden in the exotic tropical jungle border, and no doubt you'll be keen to see how this turns out. So in a couple of months I will do an update video when you can see this fully grown, but I will have already shown you some footage from last year from my archive. Hope you've enjoyed that, hope you found it interesting and informative, and I will see you soon for some more exotic tropical jungle adventures. Bye for now.